fall for pathways to adult success. Had the data working already, we had the post-secondary folks. Now we're really moving into collaboration. We also know that most of you could fit in any group and enjoy them, and the same with the people in those groups. So we've been discovering the mutual compatibilities of everybody and mutual interests. Bob, you want to say a word or two?
I just want to welcome to Baltimore. Look forward to a great day.
Okay, well, I'm going to quick walk you through a couple things. When I say quick, I mean very quick. Just a quick review. We settled on a vision a year or two ago that basically boils down to meaningful post-secondary occupations for everybody and persistence in them once you get out of school. That became a crucial matter. We talked about certificates, we talked about all sorts of things, but it was that concept of embarking on something that is meaningful and pays a living wage to raise a family. What we are doing today and what we've been doing in the last couple of months, we really want to look at the goals and recommendations, because this phase of the project culminates in about a year with a big national conference, and we're a dissemination conference. And we'd like to incorporate all your best thinking into the design of that and the delivery of that. We're also thinking, and that's why you are here to some extent, that as we work through developing indicators and criteria for meaningful actions and interventions and data, we also became convinced of the need for a navigation system for students all the way through high school, from the beginning in school, on out into the post-secondary. That without that support, and one sees this all over the country, many students are not making it. And then the role of collaborations became important, because when you look at early warning systems, which is our foundation initially, that can all be done within the school and district walls, essentially. You can get attendance, behavior, and post-passing. You don't have to go beyond it. Once you start looking at asking, how are our students doing when they leave us, then you require collaborations. And so that's an area we really will dig deeply into today. We've also been working on how-tos, a quick way to translate lofty ideas into short papers, very short, 2 pages, so that if you are a new schooler person embarking on it, you've got something in your hand that you can work from. And we'll give you a sample of one of those later today. Some of our early questions, and this is a quick review. We know that schools and districts can't do it alone. That's the origin of the collaborative thinking. We want to know how people can operationalize things across sectors. Not just education, but bring in employers and secondary and really be communicating. Then, how do we give that navigation support? And this wonderful graphic, Amanda and Greg in the back, and in a minute I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, have devised, is really the outcome of much of our conversations, but it's, as we look at the core of data, the old core of early warning systems, we came up with the concept of EWS 2.0. People didn't want us to change the name EWS, is what it boiled down to. But we needed to move to next generation of them. And that we still, data, indicator, action, analysis in the middle. Make sure you do the analysis. The data without that doesn't help you too much. And then there's a central role for teams and leadership to make all that happen. So that was EWS 2.0. And then we realized we need a navigation system. We can't quite do indicators necessarily for that, where there are so many indicators that one gets a little boggled. But we can look at some of the steps that need to be taken from day 1 or 3rd grade, if you wish. And then beyond that, we have collaborations, as I mentioned, and everything is infused with data. Because unless you know how your collaborative is working and that it's effective, how are you going to know how to go forward? Again, the centerpiece of EWS 2.0, data indicators, analysis, action, and leadership and teams. And we've got to figure out how we get the leaders, how we get the teams. It's one thing in the school setting, it's another as you broaden it into collaborations. Our overall theory of action for internally, not yet externally, and that is in the process of being developed. We created a framework last year with the collaboration of really over 100 people coming and going, closer to 130, 27 states were represented. We're discussing past pilots, and that concept has evolved, and we'll get into it later in the day. People trying out one or another elements of this framework and giving us feedback on where the hurdles and opportunities are. And what that will lead to is a model that we can teach next fall. We'll try an implementation, and we will always have feedback. And the feedback will continue to shape what we do. For those of you who are familiar with the Carnegie work, continuous improvements, improvement science, that's basically the flow. You look at your data, you say, what can we do better? You try it. If it doesn't work, you try something else. To elaborate just slightly on the past pilot concept, what we've come up with, as you'll see when we get to navigation systems, is pretty complex. How are you going to put all that into effect at once? You most likely aren't. And so it's the concept that you have a necklace or beads on a chain, and you pick out one or two. And we want you to be thinking about and to really give us feedback on. That's a bit of a switch from the idea that one has a model that should be implemented with fidelity. That's something that should really be thought about. We'd love your input. So, any quick questions, thoughts, comments? Did I do that fast enough? Yes.
There was a word that was guideposts.
Guideposts.
Yes. Can you help me place that in?
We're going to come to guideposts a little later when we discuss navigation systems and collaborations. But we have changed the terminology. I thank you. We have warred between, should we call it the past framework or the past guidebook? Not ward isn't the right word, but did back and forth on guideposts when we call them signposts. So, thank you.
Yeah, can you say more on, can you elaborate on beads on the chain? I'm not sure I followed that.
Okay. The idea is that overall, when you put all the components that you're recommending and that you've recommended together, one comes up with a very complex model that
Or a
would be
complete
very,
necklace.
it would be very difficult for people to implement right away. All of it, you can't do it. So you pick off pieces. And in the pilots, what we're going to be interviewing people about and asking is, which piece did you choose? And what have you learned? And what have you learned specifically about decision-making and leadership and how long it takes to get anywhere? I've been surprised. And what are the components?
But the analogy, if it's projected, is that this idea that you could start anywhere on that chain and you add a piece of it. And then over time you fill it in, which means it's different from saying everybody has to start here.
So would it be like the old add a bead necklace?
Yeah,
You start with whatever your bead is,
Right.
and then as you build faster, you add another one,
Right.
and another one,
Right.
eventually you have the whole necklace.
They hold it, which means it lets people start at different places. It lets them go at different paces. It doesn't say for this to work, you have to go this way. So
Correct.
that's
So, any others on this side of the room? Okay. Yes, so,
Here's the next question, is the idea behind the Bead necklace approach versus the that scale?
It's more the size of what, when we work through this group, the idea, the big picture is how do we build a consistent pathway through schooling, through post-secondary to adult success for all kids. That's like a 10-year plus, maybe 20-year plus truly endeavor, right, to get all the way there. What we're saying is if you try to start, any place tries to start doing it all at once, the weight of it will collapse on you. So it's not so much about like fidelity itself doesn't work to a model, but this actual model would be so big that its sheer size would sort of tend to overwhelm. As opposed to saying this is one of those things when we think about it, it's not so dependent on its linearity in each piece. So it's a different structure, I would say. So it's not a super linear structure so you could start at different places based on your existing work, existing partnerships, things to build upon. So that's more of the idea.
So not redefining, but rethinking fidelity versus how we've kind of been boxed into this.
Right.
You've got to have the whole kit in front of you.
Right.
And then put the kit together
Right.
with fidelity rather than fidelity to a process that would allow you to
Yes.
build all of those components.
Right. And then within each of those components, there's fidelity.
Yes.
But it's not a macro fidelity, because it's like,
Yeah, it's mostly the many efforts have sunk because they've tried too much at once, to put it in practical terms. You can't do it, people get burned out, they see lack of success, and they, leave you behind a little bit. What we're going to do again, quick today, we're going to take it from the position of, if you were going to teach this to other people, other schools, other districts, other states, how would you do it? And so we'll frame it in the terms of advice. You developing the advice, all of us developing advice together. And then we will look at a how-to. We're going to talk about the role of data in all of this at all levels, not just the ABCs, and really drill into that. And we will use the example of a navigation system, and we do have a handout on that, as a way to sink our teeth concretely into something. So the examples and our ideas are really founded in a very basic spot. And then we're going to move on quick to pilots. And last of all, to the overall idea with which we started, which is to eventually build a network of other organizations that are committed to these ideas. So, been quick overview in time, and you've got this in your agenda, but we're going to introduce each other in a minute. Then we'll go into the teaching part, break, then the Dean of the School of Education will be with us briefly. We're going to go on in the discussions, have lunch, how-tos, report out, and then collaborations and the focus on data within it. So there you have it.